Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star Part 315 based on novel. So let's start. By the edge of Nine Smoke Marsh, there were multiple mini outbursts of fights among the Law Masters. There was no intervention by the true gods of either party because, to the two groups of top powers, such small-scale fighting among the Law Masters under their commands right before the final battle was actually a way of training these Law Masters. To Nine Smoke Marsh and Xianyu Mountain, true gods were the true core combat power. Kill. A burly and imposing giant whose footsteps could cause the land to tremble charged toward the numerous beasts ahead in a frenzied manner. These giants, positioned about Universe Ocean, were the pillars of support for their races. Anyone placed within Universe Ocean was nothing less than a beast god. Only a magical place like the world of Jin had a space stable enough to easily accommodate such crossfire. If these fights had occurred in the primal universe or in Universe Ocean, the entire space would have shattered and collapsed. There were beasts tumbling and rolling about with hissing sounds they bit, bearing fangs that glimmered with icy-cold rays. Arms were waving as shouts were heard. Huge axes hacked unfailingly. The entire region was a crazy sight to behold as both parties fought one another. Retreat. Alliance Master has given orders for an immediate retreat. Alliance Master has given orders for an immediate retreat. 3 warriors led the rest of the tribe from Xianyu Mountain. Each carried a transmission token with them wherever they went. At that moment, the message with orders to retreat was transmitted to them. This caused the tribal warriors who were initially fighting like crazy to immediately change their course of action. Brothers, Alliance Master has given the orders to retreat. Retreat. Following the orders, a large group of tribal warriors, half of them fighting and half retreating, speedily made their way into a battleship. Thereafter, they retreated into the distance at lightning speed. The beasts who did not make it into the ship fast enough were roaring with rage, as they had been left behind. Retreat. Alliance Master has given orders. Retreat. Alliance Master has given orders. Retreat. Almost at the same moment, everyone around the edge of the Nine Smoke Marsh, the great number of tribal warriors in their respective troops, were either in the midst of fighting or in the midst of hiding in ambush. They had yet to take any action but had all received the same command. These troops started to retreat discreetly and speedily. They left the area around Nine Smoke Marsh. How weird. Luo Feng, who had been advancing as warily as possible to stay hidden from the troops, suddenly stopped. Why isn't there a single great being from Xianyu Mountain to be found? Milky Way, how is it possible that we don't even see a single great being from the Xianyu Mountain Tribal Alliance? If that is the case, how are you going to execute your plan? How are we going to sow discord? Wu He asked anxiously. Luo Feng lightly shook his head. He, too, was at a loss. Based on their speculations, for so many small-scale conflicts, Xianyu Mountain must have sent at least 1 million Law Masters. This way, it would be impossible to put so many Law Masters through such a risk. There must have been true gods protecting them in the dark, just to prevent any unique situation from happening. And that was exactly what Luo Feng was looking for, a true god from Xianyu Mountain. Do we even need to talk about true gods when not even a single Law Master can be found? Wu He was anxious yet helpless. If this goes on, when will we even complete the mission assigned to us by the army? We are talking about 10,000 military credit. Stop your nonsense. Luo Feng was frustrated. Earlier on, Xianyu Mountain's groups of powers had been commonly seen, but now, all of them seemed to have vanished. This added on to Luo Feng's frustrations. If Xianyu Mountain had decided to fully retreat and no longer be involved, then there was no way they could reap the benefits from the conflict between the other two parties. Why are they no longer fighting? Earlier on, we discovered 6 incidences of crossfire between Xianyu Mountain and Nine Smoke Marsh in succession. How could they all disappear so suddenly? Around a dozen figures hid among the grass. The one heading the troop was a burly giant with curved horns. This was the captain and his troops. Previously, they had encountered 6 areas where melees were occurring. They had waited until the final moments. Then they had seized the timely opportunity to join the scuffle and defeat the other two parties. They had even disguised themselves as members of Shenyu Mountain to kill the law masters of Nine Smoke Marsh. Shenyu Mountain was a super tribal alliance that was massive beyond reckoning. How many law masters were there, exactly? Even internally, there were law masters who did not know some of their fellow law masters even though they all belonged to Shenyu Mountain. So, all the more, the beasts from Nine Smoke Marsh would not be able to differentiate whether or not they were from the tribal alliance. At first glance, they were humanoid. That meant it must have been a powerful tribal group. Kill. Captain, what should we do? What should we do now? Continue to disguise ourselves as the tribal warriors of Shenyu Mountain and kill those beasts from Nine Smoke Marsh? The other warriors looked toward their captain and waited for him to make a decision. The captain's pair of grey eyes, beneath his large curved horns, seemed to bear no trace of emotional ups and downs as he said in a low voice, "No. We have not discovered any law masters of Shenyu Mountain for quite some time. Maybe, the law masters of Shenyu Mountain are starting to retreat. If we continue to pass ourselves off as them, with Nine Smoke Marsh presiding over the overall situation, they will discover that the countless previous conflicts all suddenly disappeared, leaving all but one left. This will definitely arouse their suspicion, and they will surely send out a team of true gods. By then, it will be too late for escape." One after another, his warriors nodded. "Then what should we do now?" All eyes were on the captain. "Wait," the captain said in a low voice. "Shenyu Mountain and Nine Smoke Marsh are deeply involved in the war against one another, so even if they were to stop, there are bound to be ongoing, small-scale conflicts. On the contrary, the moment such conflicts cease altogether, that will seem strange. In a desolate space a few thousand light-years away from Nine Smoke Marsh, numerous mighty figures were suspended in midair. Every one of them exuded a tyrannical aura. From a distance, there were at least a few thousand of them, and occasionally, a few true gods would fly over to join the crowd. At that moment, many small teams were continually gathering and merging. These were troops of law masters, law master warriors, to be exact, and they were so densely populated that they could be found all over the sky. Alliance Master, all teams previously out to hone and train themselves have returned. All true gods have returned, too. Before the entire troop of great beings were three figures. The entire Shenyu Mountain had a total of 4 major tribes. Shenyu Mountain, itself, was a tribal alliance. Each and every tribal leader was a true god of void space. These three figures released such boundless power that the void space surrounding the entire army seemed to have condensed and become completely isolated from the outside world. The master of this void space was the figure in the middle. A cold voice dripping in overwhelming anger was heard resonating through the entire void space. Nine Smoke Marsh has been provoking us, Shenyu Mountain, on so many occasions. Previously, they even dared to attack us at Shenyu Mountain. We must teach them that they are not worthy to create such provocations in Shenyu Mountain. We must mete out death sentences to them, to punish this Nine Smoke Marsh. Instantaneously, angry howls filled the air as all the warriors were filled with fighting spirit. Punish this Nine Smoke Marsh. Punish this Nine Smoke Marsh. Punish this Nine Smoke Marsh. The Alliance Master, with a face that resembled a rock, gave the order without further ado. Let's go. A tremendous number of tribal warriors vanished into the void space. On the periphery of Nine Smoke Marsh, Luo Feng and Wu He waited in the grass while brainstorming alternative solutions. Now, warriors from the powerful groups of Shenwu Mountain were nowhere to be found, so their initial plan had to be aborted. Do we have to resort to the method of going deep into the tiger's den? Luo Feng muttered to himself. Going deep into the tiger's den was a solution that Luo Feng would use only under the direst of circumstances. Other than his earthling original body, he had also brought Golden Horned Beast into the world of Jin. And Golden Horned Beast, while in the world of Jin, certainly belonged to the various beasts faction. It was perfectly capable of posing as a traveling beast that had happened to find its way into Nine Smoke Marsh. If it was a traveling tribal warrior, then it would not have dared enter Nine Smoke Marsh. But a traveling beast would definitely have the gut. After entering Nine Smoke Marsh, it would wait for a chance. He believed that, within a short period of time, Nine-Smoke Marsh would send troops over to join the army. By then, he would sneak his way into the troop. Being a law master himself, the troop would not guard against him. He just had to pray that that particular troop only had one true god leading the rest. When the troop was a substantial distance away from Nine-Smoke Marsh, he would deal a deadly blow. Get rid of that true god. Complete the mission ever so easily. But the way of entering deep into the tiger's den was fraught with problems. 1. No one knew how many Universe Masters were going to join the army. If there were many of them, these Universe Masters would serve as a great threat. 2. No one knew how many true gods Nine-Smoke Marsh would send to protect its troops. After all, Nine-Smoke Marsh was much bigger and much more powerful than Dry Wilderness Tribe. A bait. To lure them out of the hole? Sneak in? Either that, or we painstakingly and gradually hunt these law masters down and spend almost a whole era to make up 10,000 of them. Luo Feng was frustrated, too. These ideas all had the possibility of success but were all extremely dangerous. The most effective and most efficient method was getting both parties to fight against one another so he could reap the benefits from their fray. So long as a true god of Nine-Smoke Marsh was dead, he would immediately snatch the corpse and then run off without any delay. Given the might of the boat of Mausoleum, he could definitely make a speedy escape. Just as Luo Feng was feeling frustrated, a thought suddenly crossed his mind as he raised his head. He saw, far in the distance, a black mass that had suddenly appeared in the upper sky of Nine-Smoke Marsh. There were numerous towering figures so massive that their sizes were counted in the tens of thousands of kilometers. At first glance, it would be a given that once the number of people hit 10,000, the crowd would be like a sea of people. And the tribal warriors all had towering builds like lofty mountains. Amidst the skies above, millions of tribal warriors gathered with such a mighty presence that they naturally created a scene akin to endless black clouds shrouding the entire sky. Luo Feng's eyes widened. He had never seen such a shocking scene before. A great war, said Wu He beside him. He raised his head suddenly. His eyes were filled with surprise and excitement. A great war. It's a great war. The great war between Xianhuayu Mountain and Nine-Smoke Marsh. The one, true, final war. This is nothing like the small-scale crossfires of the past. Ha ha ha. So exciting. Since I came to Northern True Ocean, from birth until now, I have only seen such a large-scale, ultimate war once. Northern True Ocean was too powerful, so no groups of powers around us dared to provoke us. Wow. This is deeply satisfying. Those three at the front must be true gods of void spaces. Even true gods of void spaces are joining in this war. This is truly one great, final war. Heaven and earth changed in color, time and space transformed. In the blink of an eye, the entire surroundings of Nine-Smoke Marsh, including the peripheral area outside Nine-Smoke Marsh where Luo Feng and Wu He were hiding, were enshrouded, too. Other areas of the same land, where the captain and his troop, Ku Fa and her troop, and Yu Luo and his troop were hiding, were similarly enshrouded. The entire Nine-Smoke Marsh. In an instant, the external region became a blurred void space. The upper skies, the surroundings, and the endless marshes at ground level all became a blurred void space. It was as though the entire Nine-Smoke Swamp had been cut out and isolated. In one thought, the void space is formed. Luo Feng mumbled to himself. True god of void space. He had long heard of how terrifying a true god of void space could be. Every true god of void space was an overlord of a certain area within the world of Jin. Placed in the context of Universe Ocean, every true god of void space would be able to transcend reincarnation to establish one's own Holy Land universe. Then he would be able to ensure the everlasting existence of his own race. After entering the world of Jin, Luo Feng was particularly curious about true gods of void space. They were at a higher level than true gods. He tried to get as much information about them as possible. Based on the comprehensive information about true gods from Duandong River Inheritance and the information he had received from his conversations with Northern Wind and Wu He knew that true gods had miniature universes, and their orders, once given, would be strictly enforced. However, that could only be achieved in Universe Ocean and the original universe, and it couldn't be achieved in the world of Jinn. The so-called strictly enforced orders were a form of respect shown by the original universe. They gave a particular area to true gods for them to control. That was how true gods did things. However, when the original mind chose not to back down, as when true gods were fighting universe masters, the original mind would stand with universe masters. Then true gods couldn't do it anymore. Apparently, making their orders strictly enforced wasn't an ability that true gods gained after fully comprehending laws. Instead, it was a gift like having multiple bodies and other inherited techniques given by the original universe. If the original universe wanted it back, they wouldn't be able to do it anymore. However, there was a huge gap between true gods and true gods of void space. Once someone became a true god of void space, they would have a much deeper understanding of the universe, and based on their law comprehension, they would be able to control a void space completely. It wasn't a gift. Rather, it was total control. Even the original mind couldn't strip someone of abilities they gained by themselves. True gods of void space. With a single thought, the void space was formed. In that vast void space, true gods of void space could display incredible power. True gods couldn't use their abilities to slaughter universe masters, yet true gods of void space could use one thought to form a void space to slaughter true gods and universe masters. That was the difference between abilities bestowed by the original mind and those comprehended by oneself. With the power of forming a void space with a single thought, any true god of void space could be an overlord of an area in the world of Jinn. The entire Nine-Smoke Marsh was blocked from the outside, as a void space surrounded the entire marsh. Morans from Shen Yu Mountain, you dare to cross us again? A clear voice that sounded like flowing water echoed in Nine-Smoke Marsh. It sounded like it could penetrate one's mind. All of a sudden, the power contained in the void space around Nine-Smoke Marsh seemed to be multiplied as if two void spaces were fighting for control. Lots of strange beasts rushed out of Nine-Smoke Marsh, and the strange beasts were all roaring. In front of those thousands of true god strange beasts were three larger beings. The middle one had green scales, a tentacled body, and 9 heads. They all looked breathtaking. She was Nine-Smoke, the ancient being who ruled Nine-Smoke Marsh. Nine-Smoke Marsh was named after her. After the true gods rushed out, led by those 3 true gods of void space, law universes surged to the sky. In the grass, Luo Feng and Wu He looked up and saw the 2 armies standing against each other. Nine-Smoke is a very powerful true god of void space. Wu He transmitted his voice. Nine-Smoke Marsh is famous for her. Even my father appreciates her power. However, she has a strange temperament. Nobody can satisfy her, which is why those powerful true gods of void space don't want to be with her. Luo Feng transmitted his voice. But Nine-Smoke Marsh has 3 true gods of void space. That's because, Wu He smiled oddly. The other 2 true gods of void space were chased by their enemies, and they didn't have anywhere else to go except to stay with Nine-Smoke. My father said he could easily kill the other 2 true gods of void space. Luo Feng was dazed. Could there really be such a large power gap between true gods of void space? It sounded about right. He was a universe master, and if he took a long enough time, he could kill a true god. As for other universe masters, if he utilized all his power, he could kill them with one move. Among those true gods of void space, even if the gap wasn't that large, it was still possible for one true god of void space to suppress another. Wu He, Luo Feng said, transmitting his voice. I heard that all the major tribal powers and strange beast powers all led by true gods of void space, but I haven't heard of anyone stronger than a true god of void space. Is there anyone more powerful? Although he didn't know the levels above true gods, based on Duandong River, the ultimate goal of the law path was to control the chaos law, yet that wasn't the end. The 3 ancestral teachers from Duandong River were above the chaos laws. As for true gods of void space, they hadn't even manipulated chaos laws yet. Tribal powers, strange beast powers. No matter how powerful they are led by true gods of void space, said Wu He. As for those more powerful, there are. Luo Feng listened carefully to what Wu He was about to say. The supreme leader of the East Army, he said. The general of the Easy Army, the general. Luo Feng's eyes gleamed. The military is the most powerful organization in the world of Jin. There are East Army, North Army, South Army, and West Army. The 4 generals who lead the 4 armies are the supreme beings in the world of Jin. Rumor has it that they've already surpassed true gods of void space and reached a higher level. What level is that? Asked Luo Feng. I don't know. Wu He shook his head. My father didn't tell me. Luo Feng was confused. Why are you looking at me like that? Wu He asked, irritated. If you really want to know, you can earn military credits and trade them with the information in the military. Wu He was displeased. Although he was a child of the northern true ocean, he was actually the weakest child, so his father always neglected him. Just when Luo Feng and Wu He were transmitting their voices to communicate with each other and were looking up, the negotiation between the supreme leaders of Nine Smoke Marsh and Xianyu Mountain didn't go well at all. Nine Smoke, you're being too reckless. You don't want to share anything with us? Do you really think 4 true gods of void space of Xianyu Mountain can't rival you alone? You want to share something? Be my sidekicks. Then I'll happily give some to you. Ah. You're asking for your own death. Warriors from Xianyu Mountain punish that goddamn bastard from Nine Smoke Marsh. Following a furious roar, the 2 teams started to engage in battle. Soldiers fought soldiers, and leaders fought leaders. Both teams charged at each other swiftly. Luo Feng looked up. It was as if the clouds from both sides immediately crashed into each other and merged. It has begun, said Wu He, exhilarated. It has begun, Luo Feng said. He held his breath. There were many variables in war, and it was difficult to predict which side would win. Even though true gods of void space could influence the situation to a large extent, their soldiers were more influential. Quantity sometimes made up for quality. Law masters were weaker than true gods, but 10,000 law masters performing their combined techniques could defeat any true god. Similarly, true gods were weaker than true gods of void space, but 1,000 true gods could rival a true god of void space. And if a machine-type valuable was involved, such as Ju Xiu, 100 true gods could wield the power of thousands or even 10,000 true gods, and they had a stronger defense and were more flexible. 100 true gods using Ju Xiu could certainly rival a powerful true god of void space. As for those weaker true gods of void space, they might be killed. In a true, major war, true gods could play a very important role if they were equipped with machine-type valuables, like Jin Luo Sky and Land, which required at least 1 million true gods to operate. It could kill a whole group of true gods of void space at once. The world of Jin was ruled by His Majesty the Godly King, so some machine-type valuables that needed a group to operate were forbidden to use, not to mention Jin Luo Sky and Land. Even Ju Xiu wasn't owned by any tribal or strange beast powers. Kill. 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 In the Dark Land, the 2 powers were fighting each other, and law masters were the ones who died first. Lots of godly bodies were quickly consumed, and under some terrifying combined attacks, some law masters were killed instantly while their weapons and armors dropped. Weapons and armors. Universe masters in the distance kept dying, and their weapons and armors kept falling. This excited Wu He. These are all worth military credits. Wu He's eyes gleamed. He gazed at the falling weapons and armors, then looked at Luo Feng. Milky Way, hurry up. Those weapons and armors are not precious at all. Few of them will be gathered up by the warriors, and others will be neglected. We can totally certainly a great many weapons and armors. We might get 10,000 military credits. Then we can finish our task and survive. Bodies of true gods and weapons of law masters were the requisites for proof. Even if Wu He didn't kill the law master, as long as one died and he retrieved the weapons, the military points could still be counted as his. In some ways, it encouraged mutual killings. Luo Feng shook his head. There are only 10,000 law masters from Nine Smoke Marsh who participated. It's unrealistic for you to collect 10,000 weapons and armors. If we can collect the bodies of true gods, we can finish the task immediately. Wu He was anxious as he gazed at the falling weapons and armors. He appeared both worried and furious. Milky Way. You. How powerful do you think you are? True gods are important great beings to all powers. If a true god dies, someone will be responsible for collecting their body. You won't stand a chance of getting them. As for fighting them, do you really think you're strong enough to meddle in a fight like this? You're being suicidal. Luo Feng lightly shook his head. You are a fool. Wu He was truly anxious. Back when he first entered the army selections, seeing how Luo Feng could defeat him, and also seeing that they were the only two who made it to become new recruits, he had decided to follow Luo Feng's lead. Based on his experience, he was only showing his weakness to Luo Feng for the time being. When they met with dangers, thanks to Wu He's life-saving means, Luo Feng would be the first to die. The only thing that fell outside of his expectations was the extent of Luo Feng's craziness. He dared not continue following Luo Feng in his crazy courses of action. If they went on taking such risks, Luo Feng would be heading to his doom, and he, Wu He, would likely be unable to escape unscathed from this true god-level melee. Wu He shouted angrily, "You don't even know what a disaster-level mission really means. If that is the case, you shall fight for your life, and I shall fight for mine. I will not be your companion anymore." Wu He left very quickly and quietly as he sped toward the battlefield where the melee was taking place. Luo Feng looked at Wu He's departing figure and let out a sigh. His only companion since joining the army had left him. He never truly trusted me wholeheartedly, anyway. Luo Feng shook his head and continued to stay hidden among the grass as he observed the Greek melee happening in the sky high above. After watching for a long time, he started to take action. There were 3 main battlefields in the whole of Nine Smoke Marsh. They were, namely, the main battlefield, which involved the greatest number of law masters and was always the most chaotic one. The true god-level battlefield, which had more than 10,000 true gods, and the void space battlefield, which was occupied by the 6 true gods of void space. Among these 3 main battlefields, the battlefield of the law masters occupied the largest area and was quite scattered. In the sky and deep within the marshes, there were law masters fighting everywhere. The true gods might only occupy the sky and the marshes, but still, there were battles occurring everywhere. But for the true gods, their battles were mainly congregated in the Purple Vine Marsh region of the Nine Smoke Marsh. After all, the total number of true gods was not that big. The region of Purple Vine Marsh was big enough for their battles, and this region was unanimously avoided by all law masters. No one dared to go near. After all, being caught in a true god melee was the easiest way to lose one's life. A true god-level battlefield. Luo Feng was advancing most discreetly, at a tremendously rapid speed, toward the true god-level battlefield. Along the way, he had encountered 3 frays, which all involved law masters from Nine Smoke Marsh. The moment they saw Luo Feng, they ascertained that he was a tribal warrior of Xianyu Mountain. Luo Feng had set his mind on arriving at the true god-level battlefield as soon as he could, so he was not interested in purposefully bullying any of the law masters. However, the other parties were so insistent in meeting the tip of his blade that Luo Feng was left with no choice. Unintentionally, he had killed 1 law master from each of the 3 crossfires. After a long time, Luo Feng stood above one of the marshes and looked afar. There it is. Luo Feng watching in silence. He saw a marsh with many lush purple vines over it. This was the Purple Vine Marsh region of Nine Smoke Marsh. A great many beast true gods and tribal true gods were entangled in various melees. A handful of true gods even charged out from the quavering swamp. Apparently, there were also melees going on beneath the marsh. It seems they are trying to minimize the number of warriors lost from their own army. Luo Feng observed. True gods from both sides are mixed around. In Xianyu Mountain's army, there are a few warriors from Nine Smoke Marsh's army and vice versa. This way, there won't be the possibility of large-scale attacks occurring. In such 1-to-1 or 2-to-1 methods of fighting, it would take a long time before any warrior was annihilated. If this was a collective form of attack, a single sweep would bring about a few annihilations, and both parties would charge into one another's camp. Then they would again be engaged in a series of melees. True gods were different from law masters to begin with. They were fewer, which was why none of the powerful groups were willing to mindlessly waste their precious supply of true god great beings. Corpses. Luo Feng looked around earnestly. Now, he was just waiting for a true god-level corpse to appear. Luo Feng hid at a spot not far from the true god-level battlefield as he waited quietly for the perfect opportunity to strike. Further off from the peripheral region of the true god-level battlefield, another troop of law masters hid in the dark. Captain, how impressive. That true god-level battlefield is so terrifying, yet you are able to seize a true god corpse so easily. Impressive. True, Captain. It seems so easy when you do it. If I were the one performing the task, I am certain I would not make it out alive. 18 lawmasters were hiding in a faraway spot amidst the wilderness. This was one of the troops consisting of the captain and his troop of warriors. They had been deployed here by Python River Army. The other warriors were praising their captain because, just a while ago, he had displayed his formidable ability when caught in a perilous situation. He had just seized a corpse of a 9-smoke marsh true god. They were praising their captain for 2 reasons. 1, they truly admired how powerful he was. 2, they held high hopes that their captain would seize more true god corpses, which would help them complete their military mission. The captain, who had been relishing in all the compliments, finally shouted an order. Enough. His warriors might not have been aware of the intense risk he had taken, but the captain was crystal clear on this fact. There can only be one. The captain's gaze swept through the troop as he spoke, and right away, several of their hopes were dashed. Previously, on the true god-level battlefield, not one of those lawmasters dared to get close to me. Suddenly, I appeared to seize a corpse. This was something they had not expected, and they were caught off guard. That was why I was able to make such a speedy escape. Even so, I also suffered a blow from one of the attacks. Had I been a little slower or surrounded by a few true gods? The captain shook his head as he considered the possible outcome. He had undergone many missions and had made it through every single one, even those at the reincarnation level. He knew full well that at the crucial moment, when it was time to strike, he had to take a gamble and go for it. Since he was leading a troop of warriors, at the very least, he had to obtain a corpse. He had to first be able to complete his mission before he could help his warriors. Captain. Everyone looked towards him. I won't leave you in a lurch, the captain said. If I had no intentions of helping, I would have left right away. Just wait. When the opportunity arrives, all of you just have to act according to my plan. I will do my best to help you all. Captain, just give your orders, and we will follow. Everyone might have appeared to oblige without hesitation, but in their hearts, they were worried. No matter what, the captain had already seized a true god corpse, so he had enough military credits. But there were 17 of them, which meant they would need 17 true god beast bodies from 9-smoke Marsh's side. Having to seize 17 true god bodies, among the warriors, there were some who felt that since their captain could succeed so easily, if they were to take the risk, they might stand a chance of success, too. Earlier on, Captain made things look so easy. He caught his opponent off guard. Then, at an incomparably fast speed, he seized the corpse and then made his escape without delay. If I tried that, I might possibly succeed too. Yet, as time passed and they still had not managed to obtain a corpse, they were truly pushed to the peak of anxiety. Still, they had to go on with their current plan. The captain swept his gaze over them all. With a frown he reminded them, remember, there can only be one. The first time, you made a careless move. The next time around, you must be vigilant. Those true gods did not capture me, but they were not about to let me have my way as I pleased. You all must remember, do not take any risks. The moment someone makes a risky move, I will leave this battlefield right away. Understood. We will not act rashly. One by one, the warriors responded. The captain and his troop of warriors were waiting patiently for the right opportunity to come along. Luo Feng was also waiting. But he did not know that the captain and his warriors were also in the vicinity. After all, the captain was very experienced. Formulating plans and making decisions, he was swifter and surer, so he had reached the goal long before Luo Feng and had managed to seize a true god body first. With a single thought, a void space is formed. The entire 9-smoke marsh is enshrouded by the void space. Within this area, Any domain-type true treasure is rendered powerless. Even if my Sha Wu wings were still around, their ability to control time and space would still be rendered pointless. Luo Feng understood this and was aware that, on this battlefield, only a true god of void space could reign control over the whole situation. Other true gods and law masters could only observe with their eyes and sense by using their godly powers. I can only depend on my eyes to observe and my godly power to sense. Luo Feng kept a thorough and close watch. It was as though heaven and earth had collapsed. The true god battlefield was suddenly a scene of chaos. From afar, Luo Feng kept a watchful eye over every single detail as he waited for the right opportunity to emerge. A hideous body came crashing out of the muddy marsh and flew over in an upside-down posture. Then its massive body rolled and tumbled over the ground. It seemed to have fallen into a state of unconsciousness. Shortly after, a tribal true god charged out of the marsh at lightning speed. In his hand was a strange stone rod. On one end of it, the tip was extremely sharp. Raising the stone rod high, he took aim and tossed it at the rolling, tumbling beast body. The rod instantaneously pierced the beast body. The sharp end of the stone rod pierced straight through the head of the beast body. A single stab was enough to pin the body of the rolling, tumbling beast down within the marsh. The massive body crashed down with a bang, splashing water all over the place. At the spot on the beast true god's head where the stone rod had pierced through, bouts of terrifying ripples surged from the stone rod. Ah! The true god beast let out a shout of anguish. Then its head drooped, and it lay still, in the same spot, no longer moving. Ha ha ha! The arrogant tribal true god laughed in a most uninhibited manner. Hong! 3 beast figures swept down at almost the same time. Only capable of bullying the little ones without any true god-level armor for protection. You truly deserve to die. You bastards of the Xianyu mountain. The 3 beast true gods bellowed taunts as they charged over. The tribal true god did not dare to confront them. Instead, he made a speedy retreat. This was the so-called method of preying on the weak. Out of the large number of true god beasts and tribal true gods, more than half had never joined the army before. As a result, there were many without true god-level armor. It was similar to when rampaging devil god first arrived and was met with a true god beast. He had not had any true god-level armor to protect himself. Far away. True god corpse. From the 9 smoke marsh. The warriors under the captain's command were all eyeing the body. Don't take risks. I've said this before, don't take risks, said the captain. He looked around. The prestige and power that these warriors coveted could be seen in their eyes. After all, none of them had been confident enough, so they had hoped that the captain would take the field for them. But the captain was no fool. In another spot far from the true god-level battlefield, Luo Feng also kept a close watch. He saw the hideous body lying in the middle of the marsh. It was several tens of thousands of kilometers long. More than half of it was submerged beneath the water. The other parts were exposed above the surface. This true god corpse belongs to a member of the 9 smoke marsh. Luo Feng's eyes lit up. His gaze swept over the positions of the other true gods on the battlefield. With his godly power, he could sense and confirm, quite accurately, the exact position of each and every one of them. Right now, they are in the midst of numerous melees, thought Luo Feng. Even if they wanted to stop me, based on the respective distance of these true gods from me, at most, 5 true gods would make it in time. And merely 5 true gods. No threat at all. In Luo Feng's mind, 8 possible routes appeared, and he immediately got moving. As he closed the distance between him and the battlefield, he continuously adjusted his route and calculating his risks based on the movements of the true gods who were engaged in a series of melees. Arriving at the danger zone soon, he thought. From now on, there is a possibility of being discovered with every passing second. The later I am discovered, the easier it will be for me to escape. Luo Feng had already charged into the terrifying, earth-shattering true god-level battlefield. This video will end here.